I did this thing. And it was one of those things you do, and afterwards you do it, you ask yourself, why did I do that thing? And the truth is, I don't think there was any way around it, any alternative. There was no conceivable way around it. He worked at the end of the lane, about a mile from here. It's just one long road, and I had to pass him if I wanted to go anywhere. The first time I saw him, he was standing by the road, smoking. And he looked at me. He gave me that look. Because men don't look at women and see... They don't look at women and see people or equals. They assess us. They give us the once-over. See if we're worthy of a second glance, a whistle, or a comment. We're here for them to decide whether or not to lift us up or smack us down. We're here for them. To make ourselves look pretty for them. We should be grateful for the things they yell to us, too. Underage school girls in their skirts out the window of their van. And it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter if a woman says, that's not me. I don't let them treat me that way. It doesn't make a difference. Or change the fact that that's how they'll see you. That is how they'll want to treat you. By default. And that'll never change. Men rule the world. Women survive it. Except for the women that don't survive. Except for the women that are killed, are raped, are murdered by a man. Men. Or the women who committed suicide, who have a list as long as my arm of the reasons that they did it. And I wonder how many of those reasons could be traced back to a man. It's worse if you're a gay woman, because then the rape jokes are acceptable. Expected even. And you're supposed to just laugh. But when it's every day that you're followed, or you get some crude all those hours, all those days where I spent never leaving the house because I knew he was there. I knew he came up on his lunch breaks, sat by the wall, just looking. I could see him through my kitchen window. And I told people. I told the police. All they did was give him a warning. Told him it's probably not a good idea. That just made it worse. And then one night, he followed me home. I was driving back from a night out with friends. It was my birthday. And I saw his headlights behind me. And I knew what I was going to do. So I invited him in. Because if I hadn't invited him in, he would have come in anyways. It was safer for me if he thought I was up for it. I think that says a lot about him, about men. So, I got him a drink, a bottle of beer, and I knew what I was going to do. I hadn't planned it yet, but I knew. Once I did it, this would all be over. All this shit. With him anyways. So I poured the morphine that I found in the cabinet from when my wife was dying of cancer in the bottle. And something else, I don't remember, something from the vet, something for when the dog got her foot caught in the fox trap. I poured him in, and I hoped it didn't taste like shit. We sat on the couch, and as he drank it, he told me how he always knew I would let him in eventually. He knew I'd let him in, that I always wanted it. It didn't take very long, maybe a few minutes. I don't know. He just looked like he was sleeping. His eyes rolled a little bit, and then he just laid there for a while until I couldn't see that he was breathing. I stayed with him in the room all night, just in case he woke up. But by the morning, he had turned this weird gray color, and his hands were stiff. And that night, I had a bonfire with him in the middle. And I took his bones, the pieces I could find, and I put them in a bag. And I put them in the garbage. The police never came. It's like that line from that movie with Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman. I can't remember the name, but Nicole Kidman with the fake nose. She says, "What does it mean to regret when you had no choice?" I did this thing. And it was one of those things you do, and afterwards you do it, you ask yourself, why did I do that thing? And the truth is, I don't think there was any way around it.
She is everything I am not. She is supple as a snake. I am frozen. She is a whisper of holidays and beach trips, barbecues and laughter. I am eerie stillness, the last bloom of white from dying blue lips. I am winter. I am cold. I am in darkness, flirting with madness, wires in my veins, pulsing, vibrating, killing me. I am the splinters of skeleton trees in the pockets where my eyes used to be. My mind the fleeting glimpse of a wolf. She is a peacock. I am a wild hare, running, but never finding home. In a wood full of eyes, she watches me, hiding, breathing. I am the uncertainty of black ice. I am strong as the north wind. They're loud tonight, these voices that clamour. Gillian's here, standing by the kitchen window with the sky behind her. As sullen and moody as she is, shot through with the deepest blue of the darkest night. She's been standing there for a while now, and she hasn't said a word. She's running the tip of her finger over a burn on the side of her hand, just at the base of her thumb. She's done it getting a cake out of the oven a week ago. One she'd made, which isn't something you'd imagine she'd do. But she did. She does. And it tasted good. But the scar's still there. And in this cold winter, in this kitchen that stayed dark for too long, the scar turns purple, milky. And she worries at it because she doesn't want to look up.
I felt absolutely lost after you had gone. Couldn't do anything. All the trees, the sky, even the walls conspired to crush me. I sit here dazed and stupid. It seems like life only begins when you're here with me. Between those moments, reality fades. The branches of the trees punch holes in my head and imagination creeps back in, snapping and snarling like wolves in the dark corners of a candlelit room.
Electricity. She is electricity. And I am the whole world set alight.
My name's Karina Oakley and I'll be performing What Remains by Natascha Graham. She bleat the splintered end of a fence post further into the earth. The ground, sodden from rain, gave way easily, but still she beat it, enjoying the jolt and the bounce back. Chickens pecked at the soles of her boots through wire hexagons. They'd escaped again early that morning. The wind had blown 3 of the fence posts down and made little glinting metal hillocks of wire mesh around the garden. When she had drawn the curtains first thing, she hadn't been sure of what she was seeing. Now, here they were, 17 of them, Araucanas, bluebells, marans, Orpington, and a few gold lines rescued from the slaughter. She looked at them now, the gold lines, pecking, clucking, clawed feet curling, flexing, cocking their heads to one side, eyeballing the ground for worms or bugs. Raptors. They'd taken a while to feather up. Serena had wanted to knit them jumpers after finding a pattern online, and she would have done it too, in the space before death, if she could knit. She wiped her hair from her face with the back of her wrist. The wind was getting up again, but the fence should hold. She dipped her chin into her scarf that still smelled of Serena, her perfume, her laugh, her life. She looked out across the field. Nothing was left of the trees now, just swaying branches, skeletons, the lot of them, branches rattling like bones in the wind, and around the very edges of the field she could make out the golds, the reds, the yellows, and the browns of the leaves from the old great oaks. A pair of pheasants running, necks outstretched, a hare standing perfectly still in the rolling shadows of the clouds. The storm had left the air taut and threatened, another storm waiting to follow, and the wind had blown the grass completely flat. She would be rebuilding the run again come morning. She stubbed the toe of her boot into the ground. The soil bruised and squelched a belch of watery mud across her laces. Hair wild and whipped against her cheeks, caught in her eyelashes and the wet of her lips. She felt weak for the first time in years. Only moments before she had felt hot and heady and full of the thrill of life. A fleeting feeling, like water through the fingers. Now winter had arrived, and she hadn't even noticed its coming. The garden was dead. Rose petals had turned to brown pulp. The brilliant, sweet-smelling purple heliotrope she had bought Serena had turned grey and brittle. The trees sung a wandering song of their own. She turned to where Serena had always stood by the door, watching her. Serena, a shadow now, with her loose-fitting coat and the blue-green blanket from the back of her chair wrapped around her shoulders, both hands clasped about a mug of tea. She barely seemed to move between the flip-flapping of the blanket and the gentle ruffle of her short dark hair, but then she smiled, seeming unable to help herself. Serena was beautiful. Serena was always beautiful, graceful, whereas she was standing in a fine mist of rain in her old boots, losing hair grips in the mud. But that one smile was all it took to remind her of why she and the chickens remained. Serena. It had always been Serena.
For 2 years, I was abused. I had my life stolen from me by a woman who thought it was hers for the taking. She told me she loved me, and I believed her. She said she would give me the world, but instead, she made me not want to be a part of it anymore. She was a narcissist. That's what they do. Everything we did was her idea. Everything was done on her terms. She would change situations, events, things I or we did or said, and she would retell them in such a convincing way that I would second guess myself. And gradually, I would tell myself that I was the one in the wrong. She gaslit me, manipulated me, bullied me, and belittled me. That was how she got me to tidy her house every day. Because I knew if I didn't, I would be punished. She used to write me jobs lists every day. I'll show you one. Clean and defrost both fridges. Throw away out-of-date food. Change all bed sheets. Open windows to let the fresh air in. Wash and hang out the rugs. Clear the entrance to the garage. Check the dogs for fleas. Hoover, clean and tidy whole house. Do laundry. It wasn't even my home. It's not even half of it. Not even the tip of the iceberg. In the time that I spent with her, I stopped writing, I ran out of money, I ran out of time. And I know she will tell so many people the same stories she told me. I will be the crazy abusive ex, and she will be the victim in every version of every story. She will tell them how I reacted, but she won't tell them what she did to cause it. I was dead before I even knew I was dying. But now, I'm free. Now I'm here in a home no longer filled with fear. I'm married to a woman I love. I'm alive. And I'm telling my story for those who might need to hear it. For those who might need the courage to leave. For those who need to hear that it will be okay. You will be okay.